Hello, everyone, and welcome in here to the GoPowercat Postgame Podcast. Kansas State takes care of business on the road against West Virginia, 45-18. Quite the day for Kansas State. Avery Johnson was absolutely incredible. As we are going live, make sure you are hitting the like button, sending this link out to your friends if they want to talk about the Cats. That's what our plan is for tonight. Kansas State, again, guys, like, man, I Big B and I were kind of talking before you got on here, Monte. That just feels like the most dominant win of the season for Chris Klieman's squad so far.
No, you guys are absolutely correct. As I was watching the game, I was thinking to myself, I'm going to give credit to West Virginia. They came in with a good game plan of stopping the run. But the fact that K-State had an answer for it, and I was kind of chuckling because they stacked the box and they basically dared Avery to throw the ball. And he said, you know what? You guys are questioning my passing ability. I'm going to show you. And then, by the way, I got 3 stud tight ends I can go to, too. Pick your choice. You know what I mean? And so it's one of those things where they look good. And that was probably the best game as a whole. Defense looked good. Secondary was kind of sketchy at the very beginning. Communication thing again, not ability, but they got it straightened out. And when they did, they were in position to make plays.
And yeah, Big B, go ahead, because I want to ask you about the offensive line here in a second, but give me your thoughts on the game tonight.
No, yeah, I thought K-State did well. Look, they stacked the box. They did a lot of twisting up front. West Virginia did a lot of run blitzes, bringing safety and corners on run blitzes. I mean, it was everything. They just said, you are not going to run the football. And I get it. That's what they decided to do. And then I was telling my wife, I'm like, you know what? Just keep throwing the football. Let Avery throw for 300 yards. I go, because they can't cover us. So just go ahead and throw for 300 yards. And that's, what was he, 2 yards from 300? I mean, and that's exactly what you do. Look, people are going to be upset. And I know, Cole, you're going to talk about the offensive line. And I don't think they played great. Let's not kid ourselves. But K-State, they whipped them. On the defensive side of the ball. Monte's right. They got it together, man. Garrett Green hurt us running, but it was more scramble runs and stuff like that. And once we figured that out, first of all, I thought the game was over at halftime. When we stopped them on that goal line stand, I thought, we get the ball. That's the end of the football game because they're not going to be able to stop us. And lo and behold, they didn't. So good job. I love the game. I thought it was a great game for K-State.
And, I think it's important to note, like, West Virginia was 3-3, but we talked about it coming into this week. The 3 losses that they had coming into this game were to teams who were undefeated. And so, I mean, I didn't really think that West Virginia was all that great, guys, but I also didn't think they were that bad. Like, I've watched them play, and I'm like, they've got some pieces there to work with. But, you bring up Garrett Green, didn't play in the second half. And, guys, to me, it was a lot in part because Kansas State was extremely physical. Like, that was the thing that I noticed. Now, did Neil Brown do his quarterbacks any favor? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. It was almost like he was going for broke, managing the game like it was the fourth quarter in the second quarter. I mean, this guy's running the ball, it seems like, on every play. But Kansas State was physically beating up Garrett Green to where it got to a point. Guys, I don't know if it was the doctor's decision. It had to have been a doctor's decision because Garrett Green was going to go out there on one leg if he had to, where they said it's probably not safe for you to come out and play in the second half. I know that you mentioned it, Big B, that they got burned a little bit with the quarterback scramble, but I got to give some credit because they were physically beating up West Virginia. On top of that, the starting running back for West Virginia didn't play at all in the second half either. Nope. Again, injuries are a part of the game, but when you're able to be more physical than your opponent, it's not always a coincidence.
No, go ahead, B.
No, I was just going to say absolutely not. They were getting some runs on us, quarterback runs on us. Let me clarify that. But at the end of those runs, you're exactly right, Cole. It was punishment. It's like, look, if you're going to run your quarterback, isn't that what they do to Avery? If you're going to run your quarterback, we're going to hit him every time. Well, K-State took that approach. They were like, look, first of all, this guy's not a good thrower of the football. If he's going to run it, then we're going to punish him. So when he does throw it, maybe he feels that tweak in an ankle or a knee or something. Nobody's dirty. Nobody's trying to go out and hurt anybody, but you are trying to physically punish somebody. That's what football is, and it takes its toll. And unfortunately, it took its toll, and Garrett Green couldn't finish the football game. But I commend Kansas State because they were playing a physical brand of football when they got to the football. And we didn't have to play, Monte, 15 guys at the line of scrimmage to stop their run. That's not what we were doing. We didn't commit everybody to the line of scrimmage to stop them from running. We just did what we normally do, and we stopped them from running the football.
You're absolutely right. Like, this is the second week in a row for our front four, or if they're in the odd front or even front, it don't matter. Our guys do their job, and we're so stout up front where we don't have to. We can bring blitzes if we choose to, and we were doing a lot of bluffing. If you notice, we were at the line of scrimmage and we got out of there at the last minute to kind of confuse the quarterback. But when the ball was snapped, we were bringing 3 guys. We were bringing 4 guys. We weren't stacking the box, bringing a bunch of guys, and their O-line couldn't block our guys one-on-one. We were getting doubled, and we were defeating the double team, and somebody was open to make a play, and their run game couldn't get started. And that's like, I think a lot of people overlook that about our defense. Yeah, our secondary struggles, but thankfully, the fact that we don't have to stack guy in the box, we can kind of cover up for that, and we continue to get better and better. I will say our corners played a lot better game this game. They were in phase when the ball was thrown. They weren't panicking. They weren't having guys running free. Balls were being contested. And then Siegel got the interception early. It was one of those things where he baited the quarterback. The quarterback would put pressure on him. He threw to where the pressure came from. Siegel said, "I'm gonna sit here. I'm gonna sink. Got me a pick 6. Let's take it to the house." And it's one of those things where the defense as a whole play fast and physical. And you guys know we rotate so many guys, and it never seems to be a letdown for when guys come in. If it's from D-line, linebackers, safeties, the jack linebacker, no matter who it is, our guys all play well.
No doubt about it. Don't forget, if you have questions, you can jump to the front of the line with the super chat. Thank you, Ben. $19.99. Got a super sticker. Ben, if you have a question, go ahead and drop that into the chat. We will get to that as soon as possible, but always appreciate the support. It really helps us grow here on YouTube. I want to give you guys an update for those of you who are interested. And if you're watching this, you're also probably finishing up your evening by watching some football. Iowa State currently is down by 5 against UCF, but they just got a pass interference with a first down. So Iowa State looks like they're going in to try and score and maybe win this football game. Definitely keep you posted on that. But, guys, when we get back and we look at this, I see some comments here in the chat talking about the offensive line. And I guess we can talk about the running game because I don't even think that it was a negative, right? I mean, what West Virginia did was basically said, if you're going to beat us, you're going to beat us with your quarterback. You're going to beat us with your receivers because we don't think those guys are very good. We know that number 31 is a really good football player. We know that number 3 is a really good football player. So we're going to take those guys away. And in the first half, they did. But after I think Connor Riley and Matt Wells realized, you know what, if they're going to play if they're going to have 5 guys on the line of scrimmage, if they are going to literally play a 5-2 defense at the Division I level and dare K-State to throw the football with 7 guys in the box, okay, we'll throw the ball. And that's exactly what Avery Johnson did. It was really impressive, guys. And I know a lot of fans were complaining about the inability to run the football, but I think it was as simple as, okay, we're just going to take what the defense gives us.
No, you're right. And think about this though. And Big B, you can attest to this being a former lineman yourself. If me as being a defensive coach, I watch film and I see K-State thrash CU last week. And I'm thinking to myself, this is what they do good. I'm going to try to force them to do what they hadn't shown a lot of or is not as proficient at, which is throw the ball. I don't know if I would go 5-2, but I'm not going to let them kill the run because they kill us with the run. They control the clock. And I know as a head coach, our offense isn't as prolific as K-State's, and we can't score with them score for score. So we have to slow the game down and not let them run the game. So force them into passing the ball, stop the clock, extend the game. And they did that to a certain extent. But like you said, coaches, they get paid a lot of money to make adjustments. And West Virginia coaches did a good job. Our O-line also made adjustments as towards the end of the game and in the second half. We saw what they were doing. They were running twists. They were slanting. They were bringing guys to the line. Like Big B said, they were blitzing corners. They were blitzing safeties from 15 yards deep. So that's hard to adjust to. And they were doing a good job of disguising it. But our O-line, as far as pass protection, did a good job.
Yeah.
Avery had a clean
Agreed.
pocket with the exception of maybe 2 times, and both those times his legs got him out of trouble. So people fail to realize that, yeah, we didn't run the ball like we did against Colorado, but on the flip side, we didn't pass the ball a lot against Colorado until late in the game, until we needed to. So as far as the O-line, they didn't – if I were to grade them, I would give them a B because, yeah, we could run the ball when we needed to, but also when we needed to get a first down, we did that, and we came out early, and we passed on first down, and it was 11 yards here, 7 yards here, and Avery had a clean pocket 90% of the game.
Yeah, he did. That's the one thing that a lot of people always overlook when it comes to offensive line play is pass blocking. And it was a clean pocket for basically the entire night. And again, like you mentioned, Monte, the 2 times Avery was able to use his legs to get out of trouble. But look, I mean, there was a lot of times where some offensive linemen were getting beat, but some of that is they're getting beat because there's so many guys at the line of scrimmage. They get confused. Okay, do I block this guy? Do I block that guy? There's 2 guys coming to where I'm supposed to be blocking one guy. I can take one guy, and you get confused sometimes, but it is what it is. I'm not going to default the offensive line. Do you want to control the line of scrimmage more? Yes, you do. But there's only so much you can do. I mean, even on every given play, the defense has more guys that you can block. That's just the nature of it. And especially at the line of scrimmage, they're always going to have even more guys. And they committed that. So you just got to make adjustments. You got to take what the defense gives you. Some people will look at it as, well, maybe this wasn't a great offensive game. I'm like, yeah, it was a really good offensive game. We just threw the football versus running it.
Yeah.
And what do you always say, Brien? They hand out scholarships too?
They do. They hand out scholarships to the other team. It's amazing. Their coach gets paid a lot of money too. It's crazy how they do that these days. And so like I said, sometimes we just got to take a step back. Everybody just doesn't lay down. Look, West Virginia is a good team. They're a good defense against the run anyway. They're totally different than Colorado. By the way, I don't know if anybody saw Colorado's run defense this week was actually pretty good. And so K-State just ran completely over them. So, it's give and take, people. It's give and take.
Yeah. And correct me if I'm wrong, wasn't our right tackle, our starting right tackle, he was out. We had a back.
Correct.
Okay.
Carver Willis did not make the trip to Morgantown, and so Andrew Langang started in his place. Hadley Panzer came out in this game to left guard, and so John Pastore slid out to tackle. Langang went down to guard, and K-State actually started to run the ball. Now, I would say the game was out of hand at that point, but yeah, I mean, as much as injuries are a part of the game, they're also an opportunity for learning, and so that experience that Andrew Langang got tonight is going to be valuable for him and for the offensive line throughout the course of the season, guys. But yeah, I'm with you all on those things. Like the K-State offense was really good tonight. I got the box score pulled up right here. As we talked about, Avery Johnson, 19 of 29 for 298 and 3 touchdowns. Could have been 4 touchdowns. Keegan Johnson dropped a touchdown that went right through his hands. Now, granted, that was on a tip ball. There was also one to Will Swanson, who Avery just maybe sailed just a touch. DJ Giddens still ended up as the leading rusher, 19 for 57. And of course, football's weird. He scored 2 touchdowns and had 2 touchdowns coming into the season or coming into the game all year. Joe Jackson, by the way, guys, that looked like a touchdown on the last play.
It was 100% a touchdown.
I don't know how that was. I don't know how they didn't call that.
It was
so, I think everybody was just kind of ready to go home, although they did review it. So at that point, if you were going to review it, you might as well just give them the touchdown. Right. Either way, still a great job by the Kansas State offense. Guys, the thing that's most impressive to me is the fact that Avery Johnson completed passes to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, count them, 10 different receivers tonight. That, guys, to me, is the stat of the game.
Yeah, we have options. And I think people are finally realizing it. And it's like West Virginia stocking the box is a blessing in disguise because I think K-State knew we had guys we can throw to, but they haven't been game proven. They look good in practice, but a lot of times we haven't had the opportunity to throw to them in games. But They showed tonight. And so now the coaching staff, the offensive coaching staff specifically, understands, say, hey, we can trust this guy in a big game situation on the road or at home. So let's spread the pocket. Spread the field And if we need to move the pocket, we can. But if not, give Avery time. And I will tell you this, Avery probably impressed me the most because he was really good about looking guys off and looking at his first and second options. And he looked relaxed. He looked calm. There was no panic. So, yeah, I was really impressed with his game tonight as far as passing.
Yeah, I mean, like I mentioned before, Avery throwing the football, that was the thing that you could probably question about his game just because we hadn't seen a ton of it. We'd seen several times where he was just really inaccurate with the football on some basic throws.
Yeah.
You didn't see any of that tonight. You just didn't see any of that tonight. It seemed like he settled down and he knew that he was going to have to throw the football, and he was calm and he threw the football. So it's just part of the maturation process, and he's just getting better, man. The more reps that you get, the more live game reps that you get, the better that you're going to be. And he's just continuously getting better week after week after week throwing the football.
He is. Go ahead, Monte.
Let me ask you guys, and there was no point tonight when the game started. I'm not a betting person, but if I would have bet money on that game, I would have bet K-State right away. I had no doubt they were going to win this game. At any point, I felt uncomfortable about this game. How did you guys feel?
I didn't feel uncomfortable at all.
No, me neither.
I mean, I just figured West Virginia was going to do what they do because, again, they're good against the run. They just are. I mean, they've been good all year against the run. And I figured that was going to be the thing. We were going to have to throw the football. And as long as we had time, we were going to be fine. I didn't think that West Virginia was going to be able to run the football on us, and they couldn't. And I'd said it on several different podcasts. I said, hey, man, just give Garrett Green time. He's going to throw us the football. You just have to catch it. And he did it twice. So it is what it is.
An interesting point here from a comment. I got to find it here. Somebody says West Virginia is too one-dimensional to be good. And then the follow-up to that is West Virginia one-dimensional or two-dimensional with one athlete? Because as soon as Garrett Green went out, guys, the game completely changed. Like, I agree. Now, if West Virginia scores a touchdown there at the end of the first half, this game is completely different. I mean, assuming Garrett Green comes back into the game. Now, I think hindsight being 2020, even if West Virginia scores a touchdown at 17-17 at halftime, I think K-State still has a chance to come out and dominate this game because of the backup quarterback situation for West Virginia. Because, guys, not the same kind of guy. They said it on the broadcast that everybody likes the backup quarterback, especially when he's talented. I really didn't see it with this guy from West Virginia. So that's something to monitor for them going forward is the status of Garrett Green. But, man, like, he's fascinating because I find myself rooting for this guy. He gets hit and he gets back up. It kind of reminded me of Max Duggan. Like, that's kind of who he reminds me of in that sense. Only, I mean, it's pretty obvious that he is definitely more of a runner than he is a thrower. Yeah. But I just, to answer your question, Monty, like I never thought K-State was in trouble in this game. I felt like as soon as they got that goal line stand, then they were going to win. I was honestly a little surprised, guys, that West Virginia didn't take the points.
Same.
But yeah, I mean, this was just a total domination.
Well, here's another thing that we have to realize too, just real quick. People are complaining about the running game, and they should. We should be upset that we didn't run the ball for more yards. And we talk about West Virginia and what Garrett Green does on the ground, and he had a ton of yards. What do you have, 88 yards or something in the first half? Avery Johnson didn't run it once. So keep that in mind. How many times would Avery Johnson have kept the ball on a read option and just run the ball themselves? He didn't run it at all. So just something to keep. And they weren't even playing him to run it either. They knew he wasn't going to run the ball and keep it. They didn't keep a backside in, a backside edge, or anything. So it's just one of those things to where, hey, when Avery gets 100% healthy or gets healthier, I don't know that anybody's 100% healthy at this time of the year, but once he gets healthier and he's able to run the ball, look out, because you can't commit all those guys to the box and then leave the backside open, or Avery's just going to cut your heart out.
You're right. Absolutely. It's one of those things too. I know Cole and I kind of chat back and forth. I get frustrated at times when Avery doesn't take an alley to run whenever the pocket collapses or they're playing man coverage. And I understand the coaches want to protect him. And it's one of those things, like you said, once he gets healthy, and we're not putting a lot on film for other teams to see. And they're going to come a point where we can implement the RPO or the quarterback counter or the quarterback draw or something for Avery moving the pocket. And teams will adjust, but they won't have the opportunity to prepare right away. So that's kind of a blessing in disguise that we aren't running him a lot and we don't have to run him a lot. Because when you do get him, Dylan, and DJ in the backfield, and then you have tight ends as well that can block and release, it makes it more difficult to defend all that. And so moving forward, hopefully that's an option for our offense. But right now, if we ain't got to run them, don't run them.
I mean, it's one of those things to where the opponent has to prepare for the quarterback run game, because if you don't, you're doing yourself a disservice, because the fastest guy on offense at any given point is the quarterback. Right. So like, if you're not preparing for the quarterback run game, then you're basically saying, if we're going to let the quarterback run, then Avery will take that. We've seen him do that. So we did against Arizona. Now, I'm sure Arizona prepared for the quarterback run game. I think we're starting to see that maybe Arizona just isn't that good of a football team. But no. So I think that whatever teams give K-State, Connor Riley is taking right now. And there was some criticism with him earlier in the season, but he has adjusted on the fly. And it seems like every single game, this K-State team finds a way to do something on offense where you're like, oh, and that's important, because
Monte mentioned it. Coaches get paid a lot of money to make adjustments, man.
Yeah.
I mean, so the criticism was warranted, you know, and so we all understood. I think a little bit was, we're not going to give this young quarterback, put all of this on his plate and throw everything at him. But some of it was just, hey, maybe I don't trust the quarterback. I got to trust him a little bit more. And so that's what happened. But, yeah, he's made adjustments. And the offenses look good. One thing about this game, and I'm going to bring it up because I know people are going to talk about the defense. Well, look, Garrett Green was 9 of 19 for 85 yards. Okay. Throwing the football. Now, yeah, 9 of 19 for 85 yards throwing the football with 2 interceptions. So even if he stays in the game, they only threw it for 145 yards. So it's not like they went out and threw the ball for 300 yards. If he stays in the game, what do you think happens? I mean, it's like, okay, he's probably going to throw for another, let's give him 100 yards, but at least another interception, at least one. So I don't think the game looks any different. I really don't. I know K-State fans, don't worry about it. You're going to hear it. It doesn't matter. We whipped them, and that was all. We physically whipped them. That's all there is to it.
B, you're right, and I'm seeing it's not there yet, in my opinion. And I'm not passing judgment on defense, but it shows sparks of it. And you know what I'm talking about, that lynch mob mentality, that defense where every game, every play, dudes are like, no matter who you are, if you're a first team guy, second team guy, when you come in, you're laying the wood, you're imposing your will on other people. It's getting there. It's getting there, but it's not there yet. But and I feel like these guys we have now are more confident. But you're right. The last 3 games, we have, and it's not intentional, because I know that's not the way we operate, but we have put players out of the game. And it's not, like you said before, they're clean hits, but they're physical hit, and they get there with a purpose. You know, like I tell our high school kids, have when you get there with ill intentions, ill will, but keep it clean. You know what I mean? So when you hit them, let them feel you. And K-State has been hitting the quarterbacks, hitting running backs, hitting receivers, and letting them feel it. And I hope that's something that we continue to do as long as we keep it clean. But guys, the fact that we're playing physical.
And to showcase that point, I mean, Asa Newsome, I don't know if that was in the third quarter, early fourth quarter, they called a targeting penalty because he hit the quarterback too hard. Now, I don't even know if that was roughing the passer, to be completely honest. I thought that was kind of ridiculous. Like, he's throwing and Newsome hits him, but because he hit him too hard, they had to throw a flag. And thankfully they reviewed it. And that would have been really unfortunate for Asa Newsome, because that was one heck of a football play. He did everything right. He hit him his shoulder right in his chest. And it was a touch late from getting a big time sack there. But I mean, you could just tell like the relief on Asa Newsom's face after they reviewed it and that it wasn't targeting. And you know what? He's not a first team guy, but like you said, Monty, like it's that mentality. And I really believe this defense has that. And there were some people who were frustrated with the defensive effort in the first half. And, you know, I guess I don't want to say I can understand that because the yardage doesn't look good, but it's also, they got a pick six. And so anytime you get a pick six, that's great because you score points. But now the defense goes right back out onto the field. And so West Virginia, after the pick six, drove the length of the field. And ultimately, when K-State needed to get a stop, they got a stop. And so I think I had tweeted this out, but like K-State's offense hadn't been on the field in 25 minutes of real time. It had been 25 straight minutes of defense. And Monty, being a defensive guy, you know, anytime you're out there, man, for 25 straight minutes, it doesn't matter if you're getting rotated in or not. That is a long time to be on the field.
That is, and a lot of people don't realize, especially for skilled guys, you're on kickoff team. And if you get a pick six and you go right there, you're tired from blocking, then you turn right back around, you run down on kickoff. I don't care if it goes in the end zone or not, you're still running hard because you don't want the coach to your butt. And then you're trying to catch your breath for the next play. And sure enough, it'll happen where the offense come out and throw a pass and you're chasing the guy down. That ain't easy. I'm sorry. And you catch your breath, but then you're trying to take angles to cut off and whatnot. And being on the field that much is a lot. And it's good for our offense. Our offense got the rest and whatnot. And we had that bend but don't break mentality. But you want to get out the field. And we had two opportunities at one point on third down to get out the field, and we didn't. So that's on us as a defense. But when we do, it makes a big difference. And people complain about defense. And I want to highlight Damien, the Manhattan, I can't pronounce his last name.
Elalio.
Yeah. He played his butt off. He was getting in the backfield, and he probably chased down 3 or 4 screens or plays when the running back cut back and made plays. That's the effort that goes unnoticed a lot of times because the play didn't break. Now, if the play would have broke, they would say, oh, our guys are being lazy, but he ran a bunch of guys down from behind. He had a heck of a game for a big man.
Right.
He did.
Here's a good comment here, and this is 100% right. It was not the effort. It was the poor technique and tackling that was the problem. In the first half, that's exactly right. It was the tackling. There were too many times that we were there, like Garrett Green's getting these runs, and I'm like, come on, guys, tackle the guy. You know, he's not Superman out here. But here's the thing. It got better, and here's the second comment that follows that up, was way better in the second half. Too many arm tackles in the first half. That's exactly right. It got better in the second half. And that's what's the difference. In the first half, bad tackling, they've stayed in the game. Second half, good tackling turns into a blowout.
It's amazing
how things work. And Kate, so let's not kid ourselves. K-State is better than West Virginia.
No doubt.
They are just better than West Virginia. They have better players. They're better coached, and it showed in the second half. That's just, we're a better football team than they are. So, and you know, these type of games can happen even on the road. It's just the way it is.
Yep.
I'm not sure who made the decision to hire Coach Kleiman, but I'm glad they did because I know the other coach from West Virginia was an option. Nothing against them, but they made the right choice.
No doubt, guys. And kind of circling back to this, talking about the discussions about the defense here in the first half. So West Virginia threw an interception to Jack Fabris on their second drive of the game. That led to a K-State field goal. After that K-State field goal, West Virginia then responded with another field goal. Well, K-State decided that they wanted to throw 2 passes to Jaden Jackson for 84 yards and a touchdown. And so that's when really the defense was on the field for a majority of the first quarter, the end of the first quarter and start of the second quarter. So 2 plays on offense after just having 6 plays. So you get 6 plays on defense, you get 2 plays off. And then you got to go back out and you get 5 plays on defense, which then results in a pick 6. And then after that, 13 straight plays on offense. So that's incredible, guys. What is that? 22-2, if my mental math is correct or something like that. That's incredible. So credit to the K-State defense for, only giving up 10 points in that scenario. I know they ended it with a touchdown, but then K-State went 4 and out. So they went 3 and out immediately after that. So that's when West Virginia went on the 12-play drive. So you're really looking at, what is that, like 27-6? So, I mean, that's an incredible sequence right there. And for K-State to hold at the very end of the game, that was really, really impressive. So I want to bring this up here from our friend Byron. He says, this reminds me of when Michael Bishop hurt his ankle, forcing him to work on his pocket passing skills. I'm Big B. You can attest to this. What do you think about that comparison?
I mean, kind of. I remember when it happened. It was my senior year. I remember when it happened. He got hurt, and he had to just throw the ball. Now, I don't know that he necessarily had to work on his pocket passing skills. He was just forced to stay in the pocket because he couldn't run around like he usually did. But I guess it goes hand in hand. And, yeah, I mean, I remember it. It was plain as day, and he got better. So, yeah, I don't know if I like the comparison, but I mean, the same things happened.
Yeah.
The same type of things happened. But this is only going to help Avery down the road. It's only going to help because that was the one thing that people were complaining, and not necessarily people complaining. It was a flaw in his game, being a pocket passer. That was an absolute flaw in his game. Yep. Well, this has, okay, you're not going to run around. You can't run around. So you have to be better in the pocket if we're going to move the football and win. And tonight he was good in the pocket.
Yeah. Yeah. I finished up the year before that happened, but I remember following you guys after the fact, and you're absolutely right, B. He was a good passer, obviously, and it just forces him to stay in the pocket more. And he could beat you outside the pocket, in the pocket with his feet, and it's one of those situations. But for Avery, it's a little bit different in my opinion. But looking at a different view, and I keep watching this, how do you guys, and I'm excited, and I hope and pray nobody gets injured. Like you said, B, we're the better team.
Yeah.
Hands down. And we're going to be better than a lot of teams you play moving forward. Obviously the Iowa State game will be tough up in Ames, and we have a few other games. But honestly, I can't remember the last time K-State's depth has been so deep with quality. Roberson, the backup, when he comes in, I don't get worried at all. And it's one of those things where I feel comfortable with him. The backup running backs, they're all quality guys. O-lineman tonight, we had an O-lineman come in that needed to play. He got challenged a little bit, but he was up for the task. We got 3 good tight ends. Defensive wise, we have 6 good D linemen that rotate. I can't tell you how many linebackers we got, how many safeties we got, how many corners we got. And as far as depth, this is the first team in a long time that can contribute in every avenue of the game moving forward. And I feel like when we make this run, and we're going to make this run to the Big 12 championship, that's going to come into play because injuries are going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, we think back to the 2022 season, Monte. Like, I remember doing the show with you right before the Big 12 championship game, and it's like, well, if K-State gets hurt in the secondary, like, there's not a lot of guys to play corner. There's this guy named Keenan Garber. He was playing receiver 2 weeks ago, and who's that guy? What? I remember when that happened, like, looking at the media guide, like, this guy's not even on the roster. He's number 35, but he's number 1 and listed as a receiver. And it's amazing how 2 years completely changes everything, because you guys are right. Like, it watching that team that was out there in the fourth quarter, and maybe I'm naive for thinking this. Maybe I get excited because I'm like, you know what? When Austin Moore moves on, the culture that those guys have set up for guys like Asa Newsom, for guys like Rex Van Wy, same thing can be said for some of those guys in the secondary, like Colby McAllister, VJ Payne's only a junior. Like, you look at some of these guys, and it's the foundation that they've set. And it's really exciting because they are getting valuable game reps, and they have gotten valuable game reps. That was something that didn't happen the last few years, not just because K-State didn't have a lot of blowout wins, but mostly because K-State really didn't have the depth to put those guys in and it not be that big of a deal. And so, again, I think that is an underrated part of tonight, is some of those guys got extremely valuable game reps.
Yeah. I mean, look, depth, that's what they always talk about with the Ohio States, the Georgias, the Alabamas, is that they always had all this depth on their football team. So when guys eventually get hurt, because it's football, bones break and ligaments tear, They had another guy that was almost as good that to come right in right after him, and that's why they continuously were good over and over and over again. I'm not saying K-State has that type of NFL talent, right, but I will say that K-State's got plenty of guys that can contribute and not take that much of a step back from what the starters are putting out there right now. And again, you said it, you hit it right on the head, Monte. I don't know the last time K-State's had a team this deep. I really don't, especially on the defensive side of the ball. You know, from time to time, we've had offensive linemen that come in and we've had offensive line group. But when you're talking about defensive line, especially defensive line, I just don't know the last time we've had this many good defensive linemen on one football team. I really don't. It might have been a decade ago. It might have been 2 decades ago. I don't know when that has been the case. And that's not I'm not trying to slight anybody.
No, I'm
just telling the truth. I just don't know. And it's it's commendable for what this coaching staff has done, especially in this day and age of NIL and transfer portal, that you get guys in that buy in, that want to be a part of the program. That is absolutely incredible. But you got to continue to do it. But we're talking about this season. And this season right now, K-State's got that depth.
Yep.
What do you guys think K-State proved tonight?
Honestly, there was nothing to really prove because, well, we can go on the road and beat a average team. This is a game. I didn't want to look past this game. I know KU is not what everybody thought they were going to be, but KU week is next week, and obviously people get excited about that. But we're proving we're getting better. It's about us. We won't worry about West Virginia, and us as a team, as an organization, as a coaching staff, as a culture, we're getting better. And it's not so much we have to prove to the media, to the rest of the Big 12, more so than prove it to ourselves that we're capable of what we know we can do. And I feel like they did that tonight. As a team, they continue to get better. They prove to themselves they can pass the ball if they need to. They're proving to themselves they can get out the field when they need to, or go deep, go short, and just kind of run our offense. So it wasn't anything they proved to anybody else, more so than to themselves, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think first of all, we won a football game on the road.
Yeah.
Good, bad, and different. The team that we were playing against, we hadn't played a complete football game on the road this year. Now, I don't know that we could necessarily say we played a complete game, but I think we played a good game, and it was good enough to dominate this football team. And again, regardless of how good the competition is, that part is irrelevant. And I always say that because if you're the better team and you're supposed to dominate somebody, then go dominate them. That's fine. It is what it is. If you're playing against really good competition and you win by 1 point, then go win by 1 point. K-State blew West Virginia out. They're that much better than West Virginia, and that's just the way it is. But to be able to go on the road and show that you can do that, I like that because, again, K-State has not played well. Look, we won the game against Colorado last week, but I don't think anybody on the defensive side of the football would say that we played good. I mean, I know we stopped the run, but they can't run the football. They don't even try.
Yep.
I don't think anybody on the defensive side would say we played good. We just hung on to win the game, which sometimes you have to do that. But it is what it is. Today, they played good. I give them credit.
Yep, you're right. You're right.
No doubt about that. I want to put this comment up there because this is pretty good too. We kind of talked about it. To the question that I had just posed, they proved you can't stop the box, stop the run, because K-State will tear you up in the air. I mean, I think that's a pretty big statement, and that's going to be a nightmare for opposing coaches to try and figure out, because now it's literally pick your poison. Our friend Joshua Culver says, I love the variety of guys who caught the ball, the tight ends, Keegan, Dylan, DJ, Jace, and J-Jax. I agree. I think that was a highlight of the game tonight, was all those different guys who got involved with the offense. And he also mentions Ty Bowman. So special shout out to Ty Bowman, the Chinook Blue Comet.
He keeps making catches, doesn't he?
Yeah.
He does. He is going to have a big play.
Yeah.
He's
going to be on the field for when something crucial happens in a crunch time. I feel confident with Ty Bowman in the game. If it's special teams, if it's offense, he's going to catch the ball if it's thrown to him. He might not
or
beat
he's going to
anybody
block
down
somebody downfield in the run game. He's going to do whatever is required to make a good play on the football field. He's going to be around it. Those are the kind of guys that you got to have.
No doubt.
He's a K-State guy. And he's one of those where if you never, like, we've seen him in person, but he's a lot bigger than an average receiver. Not quite tight end size, but he's a good size kid. And I don't think people realize how big and physical he is until you see him up front. And the fact that he moves well, and he's on kickoff, obviously, and he's normally one of the first guys down on kickoff. Is he fast? Yeah, but he's one of those guys that give effort every time. And you know what you're going to get from him. But I'm happy to see him getting some playing time in the offense because he's going to play a role at some point. And going back to that last comment, I want to talk about we can give guys problems. Not a lot of Big 12 schools have two running backs that can come out of the backfield and catch balls on the fly and then make guys miss in the open field like DJ can and like Dylan can. So if guys want to bring pressure and if we want to sit the back out the backfield like we did with DJ, they were stacking the box. And DJ, I don't know if you guys watched the route, but he set I don't know if it was a linebacker or a safety up, but he set him up. He gave him an outside step and came right back inside. It was smooth, and the guy didn't have a chance. I was like, that ain't fair. And
it's an old school Darren Sproles arrow route.
Exactly.
He loved it.
It wasn't fair. And Avery hit him in stride, So that's going to give guys problems in the future. We got weapons. For sure.
Yeah.
So fresh off the presses, boys, they had just announced the kickoff time for Kansas State and Kansas next Saturday. It will be a 7 p.m. kick on ESPN2. So
it's official 8KU week. It has begun.
It is, you know what? For folks who thought that game might be kicking off at 11 a.m., you're sadly mistaken. Fans, you're going to have plenty of time to enjoy the day on Saturday. Guys, I honestly love the 6:30 kicks because I get to spend my day doing whatever I need to do, which is usually just watching football and then getting back to the K-State game. I'm done with the 9:15s. I thought I'd like it, but I really don't because you just got to sit around all day and wait. But with the 6:30, 7 o'clock kickoff, I'm good with that. The Bill is going to be rocking on Saturday. I believe this is a second straight Sunflower Showdown at Bill Snyder Family Stadium. That's a 7 p.m. kick. I want to say 2022 was a night game as well. So going to be a fun one this upcoming week. Boys, before we get out of here, I want to ask you guys about some closing thoughts about tonight's game. I know I brought this up. I want to bring this up too before we head out and get to our closing thoughts. Byron says West Virginia was successful in not allowing DJ to beat them, but by the way, TCU's beating up Utah. So Big 12 after dark is officially wild as usual, guys. Give me your closing thoughts on just today's game and really maybe where K-State sits in the pecking order of the Big 12.
Big B, you can go first, Big B.
Okay. First of all, I thought it was important that K-State play well on the road. I've been saying that all week. I thought it was important that they go and play well. And they did. Again, you're not going to stop everybody from getting yards. People are going to get yards. They're going to get plays. They're going to score some touchdowns. That's just the way that this thing works. But K-State played well, man. They played a physical brand of football. So I like what they did on the road. Now, you come back home, you play KU. Look, KU is dangerous. KU's got football players. They do. They just hadn't been able to finish games. Well, they won a game today. Who knows if that sets them up for everything in the future that they want this thing to snowball for them. Well, okay, that's fine. So K-State's going to have to come out and play good football next week. It's not like KU doesn't have good football players. They do. And you're lying to yourself if you don't think that they do, because they do. But I believe K-State's better. I think K-State's has a better coach football team or a more physical football team. That much I can tell you right now. We're a more physical football team, and the game's at home. So, heck, you count the bye week. Last time K-State hadn't been home in a month.
Yep.
So it's time to go home and play some good football, man. I'm looking forward to it. Unfortunately, that is the night of the old Hanley Halloween party. So I will have the game on, and after a win, maybe I'll get on here. Maybe I won't. Maybe it'll be Big B. Maybe it'll be Fred Flintstone. I don't know what's going to happen. I can't tell you right now.
Oh, my God.
I'm excited for the game next week, man. I can't wait because you guys know me. I can't stand KU. It hurts me to say they have good football players, but I just know the truth. They do, but I can't stand KU. Can't stand them.
Oh, you're a good man, B. I'm with you on that. Yeah, KU is one of those things. I can't stand KU and their fans make it worse. That's a different story for a different day. But as far as K-State today, like you said, they needed to do what they went on the road. They took care of business. They went there. We, like K-State fans, always travel. We had fans in the stands, but I feel like our guys knew from the first whistle that we were in control of the game. Even when we didn't score that first drive, we were like, we're okay. We go down and get 3 points after the fact, get the interception, and then we get rolling. K-State stayed healthy. We got a lot of guys with some game experience. We threw out a lot of different formations, defensive-wise. We did a lot of different things. So that forces KU moving into this week to prepare for things that they hadn't probably normally wouldn't have, you know. And it's one of those things now they have to prepare for the pass. They were going to prepare for the pass regardless, but now they have to take it more serious because they see Avery can sit in the pocket and pick you apart. And at that point, they ask themselves the questions, what do we want? Like, who are we not going to allow to beat us? Are we not going to allow DJ to beat us? Or are we not going to allow Avery to beat us? And at that point, they got to figure it out, but that's on them. But I think K-State set themselves up to go into next week's game. And the way the Big 12 is right now, it's wide open. I know UCF, I'm not sure if they beat Iowa State or not, but
Iowa State ended up winning. Yep, Iowa State came back. Yep.
Okay, but like that game and the BYU game were both home games for Iowa State and BYU, and they both should have lost those games. And so they will lose at some point this season. And I think K-State got their bad game out of the way at BYU. You know what I mean? And so I feel like we have set ourselves up to move forward. I won't look too far ahead, but going into KU week, a 7:00 game like you just announced, that makes for probably a fun week leading up to it. The trash talk, the media coverage, anticipating the game. And too bad, Cole, we can't make it to the Hanley Halloween party.
I know.
but it's all good, though. It's all good, though, because I think it's going to be a good night for us K-Staters. But I'm excited to see how K-State approaches that game. And I truly believe, I don't think Coach Kleiman is one of those coaches that try to run up a score on anybody. But I think after last year's game and all the trash talk that their players were doing before the season, if they didn't have a backup quarterback, they would have beat us. Shoulda, coulda, woulda, this and that. I think our kids want to go out and send another message to KU and the Big 12. And I look for our guys to put up a lot of points and to be even more physical than they have the last couple of games. So I'm anxious to see what happens.
It's going to be quite the week leading up to it. We will have all of the coverage you could possibly ask for right here on GoPowercat's YouTube channel. We've got the Big 12 Insiders on Monday. We've got the Powercat Questions podcast will, I believe, be released on Wednesday, which then the pregame podcast hosted by Tim Fitzgerald will be released on Thursday. We'll have the Friday walkthrough on Friday, leading you up until kickoff between the Cats and the Hawks. But for tonight, Kansas State rolls West Virginia 45-18 to move to 6-1 on the season, 3-1 in conference play. They're bowl eligible, but I think they have their sights set just a little bit further than that. Thanks so much, everyone, for tuning in with us tonight, staying up late with us. Not as late as Big 12 After Dark, but you can go to bed now. K-State, they won. They blew them out. 45-18 is the final score. We will talk to you later in the week from Go Powercat. For Brien Hanley, Monte Spiller, I'm Cole Carmody, and we will talk to you next week.